It's been a long time, friend.
8, 7, 6, 5.
Humans only have one ending.
Get that Barbie!
Hello, and thanks for joining us for our weekly film show. We're in peak summer season, so it's time for a blockbuster blowout with our film critic, Ben Croll. Hello, Ben. Thanks for being here. Now, our first film takes us around the world and back again with a familiar face. Tom Cruise takes the lead in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, the latest instalment in the unstoppable action series. But does this seventh entry find new notes to play, Ben?
No, not really, but that's also the point. At this point, the formula is crystal clear, the flight plan is set, and the Mission Impossible series does not deviate. Mission Impossible promises big action, exotic locales, and death-defying stunts performed to great fanfare and great publicity by Tom Cruise himself. The fact that this film, Dead Reckoning, is only part 1 of a proposed 2-film series, a mini-series in the Mission Impossible series, distills the formula and amplifies it. Dead Reckoning tells half the story with twice the budget, and this one finds Cruise and his merry band of spies crisscrossing the globe, trying to save the world from some kind of AI thingamabob. Of course, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the high-octane action, and the film delivers a lot of that. Let's take a look.
Your life will always matter more to me than my own.
None of our lives can matter more than this mission.
I don't accept that.
So, Ben, if the plot falls second to spectacle, what are the main attractions here?
Well, there are many. The film moves at a really breakneck pace, moving from a nuclear submarine to the Arabian desert to Rome, Venice, the Austrian Alps, and many other places along the way. It finds times for car chases, motorcycle jumps, shootouts, and one bombastic sequence on a train falling off of a bridge. And the fact that the plot itself, though kind of an afterthought, does follow Cruise's Ethan Hunt character as he tries to save the world from a pernicious and malicious AI algorithm, plays on a kind of metatextual level, given the fact that the film was shot during the COVID lockdowns. It had kind of a troubled shoot, stops and starts, and taken together, the film kind of plays as this Valentine to the big screen, this argument for analog over digital, and a plea for old-fashioned thrills and old-fashioned movie stars. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear from Tom Cruise himself.
How can I make something immerse an audience in a story? That's what McHugh and I are constantly working on. How can I immerse them in this story? How can I get them and feeling on the edge of their seat with the Mission Impossible? And I just want people to sit in that theater and just, this summer, just let go of everything and go on a ride, go on a cinematic ride.
There we go, Tom Cruise taking Mission Impossible to new heights. Next, Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer has made its world premiere in Paris. It's about the US physicist who invented the nuclear bomb. What can you tell us?
Well, it's a really audacious film, especially for a so-called summer blockbuster. In many ways, it kind of twists the rules of the genre. On the one hand, there's the spectacle. The film was shot on IMAX cameras. It has ear-bursting and extremely accomplished sound design. There's at least one sequence where they're doing the Trinity nuclear test that just pops and sizzles off the screen. At the same time, it's not your traditional popcorn film. It's really more of a biopic and political thriller. It's a 3-hour drama that covers a lot of ground. It spans about 40 years in the life of J. Robert Oppenheimer, and it plays up Red Scare paranoia, bureaucratic backstabbing and power plays, and very interesting visualizations of the scientific process and scientific thought itself. And all of this sort of turns around the central enigmatic figure of Robert Oppenheimer, played by Cillian Murphy. The film also has a very dense supporting cast as Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt, among many others. And let's take a look.
Everyone there.
This is a matter of life and death. I can perform this miracle.
World War II would be over. Our boys would come home.
That's happening, isn't it?
The world will remember this day.
Our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen. Until somebody builds a bigger one.
I think primarily the impulse of the film is to try and really recreate the reality of the Manhattan Project. We wanted to put the audience there in that bunker, you know, as they watch the first Trinity test. So that meant really trying to make these things as beautiful and frightening and awe-inspiring as they would have been to the people at the time.
Well, for those looking for something a little bit brighter, Greta Gerwig's Barbie hit screens this July. It premiered in LA on July 9th with the actors from the film, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, alongside stars like Dua Lipa and Nicki Minaj on the red carpet. Now, there's a lot of buzz around this one. How did they manage to build a film around a doll?
Oh, well, with a healthy dose of tongue-in-cheek, for certain. For those who haven't been inundated by the publicity blitz, and I envy those who haven't, Barbie finds Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling playing the titular doll and her boy toy, Ken. It's a very light and breezy fish-out-of-water story that follows the dolls from their plastic pastel play palace and into the real world, mixing song and dance numbers with earnest kitsch and winking irony. You know, director Greta Gerwig, who made Lady Bird and Little Women before this, wasn't maybe the most obvious choice for the material, so she really brings some cinephile zeal to the project. You know, she talked about her inspirations being Jacques Demy and Jacques Tati, and you can really feel those kind of musical and comedic touches in the film as well.
Okay, and from interviews, it seems that the cast loved making this film. Here's Margot Robbie saying director Greta Gerwig was like their on-set mum.
We had this saying on set, we'd say, "Mummy, say you like it." And it was just pretty much all of us hoping that Greta was going to come up. And she would, because she's literally the most, like, showers you with love as a director.
That wasn't the saying I used.
You know, Robbie and Gerwig really had a challenge with this film because, you know, they wanted to play up the effervescence and the lightness of the Barbie character, but they also wanted to at least address the fact that the doll has often been seen as standing in for regressive gender stereotypes and sort of playing off that. Meanwhile, Gosling kind of steals the show as the plastic himbo Ken, going back to his roots in the Mickey Mouse Club by singing, dancing, and delivering one comic zinger after another.
Okay, well, the images look absolutely fantastic. Coming out later this summer, the film that won the top prize, the Palme d'Or, in Cannes this year. Justine Triet is the third woman to win the honour with Anatomy of a Fall. The film promises an art house blockbuster of a different sort, Ben.
Yes, and the Palme d'Or was extraordinarily well-deserved for this film because Anatomy of a Fall is just a fascinating bit of cinema. Director Justine Triet really mixes genres, and she takes part of the legal thriller and part of the domestic drama and sort of like fuses them together. The film stars the German actress Sandra Hüller as an acclaimed author who was put on trial for her husband's death. The film kind of leaves the question of the central character's guilt or innocence an open question. You're never really sure if the character did it or didn't.
What do you think? Did she?
You have to watch it and find out.
I did watch it. I still don't know.
Well, that's the point. You know, that's really the point because you're not supposed to come away asking, okay, she did it? Did she do it? Did she not? But it's really about how the case and the trial affects in a destructive way the entire family structure. Let's take a look.
So, as you can see, an accidental fall is going to be hard to defend, given the height of the windowsill. Mm-hmm. So that's why there's an investigation for more suspect, and you're more suspicious death, and you're témoin assisté because you were the only person there.
Okay.
And of course, you're his wife. Now, looking for a stranger who walks in, kills him while you were sleeping right above, and Daniel was out for a walk is a shitty strategy. Samuel had no enemies.
Stop. I did not kill him.
That's not the point.
So, you know, the film is really tense, but it's also kind of loose and free. It moves from this Hitchcockian whodunit to this incisive marital drama. It moves between French and English, as you saw in that clip. And it kind of sums up as a family tragedy once the couple's son is really brought into the mix. The film is really wonderfully perceptive in the way that it holds up these ambient tensions and illogical loose ends of domestic life against the harsh and rational light of a legal system that needs to find order in chaos. It's also a film that's very much about the creative process. The main character, whose name is also Sandra, incidentally, is an author who mines her own life for artistic inspiration, and in a way, so does Justine Triet herself. She calls this Palme d'Or-winning film her most personal work to date, and it's a film that is an absolute must-see when it comes out this summer.
Yes, especially as it was this year's top pick at the Cannes Film Festival. Well, we're going to close today with a look back at the king of the movie musical until the end of July. The Cinémathèque Française in Paris will offer a career retrospective to Vincent Minnelli, the filmmaker who perfected the Hollywood musical.
And his work still lives on to this day. Vincent Minnelli directed 35 films, all of which will be shown this summer at the Cinémathèque Retrospective. Minnelli is an American in Paris, and Gigi both won the Academy Award for Best Picture. He helmed classics like The Bandwagon with Fred Astaire and Meet Me in St. Louis with Judy Garland, with whom he also married and fathered Liza Minnelli. Though Minnelli stretched his muscles with the Vincent van Gogh biopic Lust for Life that starred Kirk Douglas and the drama Some Came Running that starred Frank Sinatra, he was and remains best known and best loved for his song and dance work. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, critics from the Cahiers du Cinéma championed Minnelli as a cinematic visionary obsessed with beauty and harmony, and an artist who could give substance to the world of dreams. That's very high praise indeed. And his work remains just as joyful and accessible today. You know, we spoke a lot in today's show about modern Hollywood blockbusters, so I couldn't imagine a better way to close out than on silver screen spectacles of a different sort. Minnelli's work still has that lust for life. Even if you can't make it to Paris this summer, try to catch one of these screenings yourself. Watch it with your family, bring everyone together, make a big bucket of popcorn, and put on one of his musical fantasies, because that's entertainment.
It certainly is. Ben Croll, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for watching. We're going to leave you with that retrospective. See you next time.
It might be a fight like you see on the screen, a swain getting slain for the love of a queen. Some great Shakespearean scene where a ghost and a prince meet and everyone ends in mincemeat. The gang may be waving the flag that began with a mystical hand hip hooray. The American way, the world is the stage is a world of entertainment.